Hey guys, so this is the day 21 of the 60 days series where we talk about the 5 layers of AI, and I break every single thing down so you can just keep all the hype about AI and every single thing. So to give a brief recap, the 5 layers of AI are basically what you see out there, starting from prompt engineering, AI automation. I consider MCPs, APIs, and many other connections with AI to interaction, and also building AI agents onto the agentic layer of AI. So how we normally do this is I put together a resource where the particular day I write every single thing out, and the next thing I just talk about it and show you a live build. Today is going to be very interesting because we've talked about scheduling. However, I believe that we need to focus more on it because we have some things that I've not shared as well. So anyway, now to schedule something basically on make.com is different from having something to come in via a webhook. To make this more interesting and to explain this very well, there are two types of ways that data arrives from a trigger. The first one is the push based and the other one is the pull based. Now, a push based is coming from probably a webhook. In most cases, it's a webhook, because what is happening in that point is when you to explain more on what a push and a pull is. These are just things that in just plain terms. These are just things that I realize based on the way the data is coming into make.com. Now, a push base is mostly in the form of a webhook. That is a situation where you use a webhook to collect your data. So how this works is that your data arrives. This is an example of a webhook that we've used. This is a inbuilt webhook by Tally itself. I think I should just, because the heat is quite crazy and probably because I'm wearing this. So let's turn on the fan. All right, so we have it running now. This is to explain what a webhook. This is an inbuilt webhook from Tally itself. So what happens when it comes to a webhook, how data arrives on a webhook is basically from the form itself. Someone fills in the form, for example, like bringing on one of the forms that we've built all this while. We've built this and this. They're both lead intake systems. Wow. Okay. The fact that they're different. Okay, I think it should be the other one then. I think I clicked on this just now. All right, so it should be this. Now, the way a pull system works is that it is going to, someone who filled this, we've been using Daniel as our example all this while. So let's use this. And these are the details we've been using all this while. And I need a lead. So what happens here is you have a form submission, and because of that, it pushes that data into this. So the webhook is listening constantly. The webhook is having to stay there and listen to it. Now, anyone that brings a data in, they push the data into the webhook that here you go, and that is basically what this push does. So a push, like the example I gave here, is a lead data arrives with it. So that's what from a webhook, and it sends it, processes the lead, the arriving lead, sends it to the router, the email, and every single thing that we've built here. So the other one, which is the pull based, this arrives based on a schedule. Now this is mostly, I remember a particular day when we explained about that is what a schedule is, or the different types of triggers, which I mentioned. There's a webhook, and that's for instant data arrival. There is pulling, and there's also schedule. Now a schedule is a type of a pulling trigger as well, but it stands on its own because we basically place a time before it asks for the particular data. Now, to explain more on how a schedule, this pull based system works, is an example could be, this is also an inbuilt webhook. Most of the time I think I explained that you would see it's very obvious here. This is a webhook. When you look for a module that is an example of a pull based, is Google Form is an example of one. Why you don't have a webhook here, but you can set in a time for it to bring it in. So you can watch responses as well though, which is also the same, watch here as well. But this time around, rather than having to push the data, it asks for the data from Google Forms itself. So what happens is when we make a connection here, lead intake form as well. Okay, I believe the same thing is popping up for both. So what happens here is it doesn't work immediately as data arrive like this. Let's pull the trigger here. Okay, I need to tap on this, then bring this in. Okay, so still giving us the same issue. This happens on mail.com a lot. Okay, I think I need to save this. Nope. Okay, just hold on. Let's save this for now and tap and in. All right, so this is giving us this. I don't know if it's only me that this happens to. Every single time I try to work on it, sometimes it just decides to act like this. Now it's working very well. Yeah, so this is what we need. This was actually what we needed to show. So when you see this, unlike the others, it doesn't it changed immediately. It doesn't get the lead to be pushed into it. It has to ask for it every 15 minutes at regular interval. You can change the time as well to every 1 minute. It asks, and we have several others here which I'm going to explain on them in depth. Now you can see what it does basically. In this case, this is a pool based system. It fetches for the data. That's the word we used. It's fetch for the data, and once it fetch for the data, it's going to ask, can you please check if this thing exists and send it to me. Now in most cases, even if it doesn't exist and your scenario is on, let's make this on, and your scenario is on, let me pick, my god, I've done a lot here. I need to one of the latest one we did. All right, so what you will notice in this case most of the time is, let's just use sheet 1, and yeah, all right, so what you notice for most of the case is that when you run this, let's click run once, you see even without we filling any form, it still gets to process 1. Okay, actually we have one there. This is very old. This is a very old detail. Let's try to run again. It's probably running some of my based on my old tutorials, and let's see what's up here again. It's also running my whole tutorial. Okay, that's this form is a very from a very long time ago, and that is why. So lead intake form, yeah, this is the one we're supposed to choose, right? All, nope. Some specific ID, nope. Choose manually. Can we choose the dates? Should be able to, nothing actually. So let's just save this and have to try this again. All right, so let's see what happens again. Now this could not be completed. The caller does not have permission. Okay, I'm viewing this with another account. That's why I'm using another account rather than the regular accounts that I do use. So basically what I'm just going to explain here is the way this works is it checks every single time that does a data already exist before it gets anything in. If you have a new leader filled in their data or not, it is still going to ask per the schedule that you've run it through, probably 1 minute, 15 minutes, or even 30 minutes or 130 minutes, as much as you want. So this is the difference between the push and the pull. The push gets data pushed into it immediately. So it listens every single time. It listens to know if there is a new data and it gets pushed to it. While this time around, for this, it doesn't listen. It just stays on its own until the allotted time that you gave it, or every 15 minutes, I want you to go and check yourself. So you have to pull it by yourself. But in this case, it doesn't have to pull. It just has to listen and they'll push it to it. So it is like a very bad example, once again, I'm going to use is you are working with someone and you need data every single time. Now, you can assume yourself as someone who works in a team. What if you're a webhook? What you're basically doing is you have to wait. You are waiting for the person and you're looking at the person. Once the person is done with the data, the person gets to push it to you basically and say, this is it. And you're like, all right, thank you very much. While the one for the pull is basically saying, you have to go by yourself. Rather than having to wait, you have to go and take the file yourself or take the data or whatever it is into make.com. That is basically what this is. So that was what the diagram and everything. So the whole process is here. It's me just explaining what we have here. So the next thing now, as per what I put together here, is to show you about the different scheduling modules configuration. I remember I talked about this, but I probably did not go in depth. So what this is basically saying here is the different type of intervals. That's what we have here at the different type of intervals, where you can pick once a day I believe I explained this. This is like in a case where you have a bunch of details every single day, and what you just need to do is probably you can set, this is once, actually this is once, just once. In most cases, I don't know who will use this, but you can still use this daily. This is just once, but happening every single day. So this is once, just that particular day that you run it. Today, I think it's about 1:30 p.m. now. So I can tell it once it's 8 p.m. Okay. So I can tell you once it's 8, I need to, this camera every single time, I need to make it smaller. All right. So you can basically tell it, today by around 8 p.m. I want you to bring this particular detail in. So this just it works once. That is what you are doing. Now there are others like daily. Daily is the once, but every single day by 8 p.m. this is what it does. So by 8 p.m. and we set it to, yes, finally. I don't think we actually needed to go through all those steps, but just to show you guys how it works. So it's just the amount of time you need it, that's daily, and you can also set advanced settings from when you want to start. Probably you want to start doing that tomorrow, and you should end that on probably the last day of June. So that is how this is, and that's just for advanced settings. So advanced settings is the same for every single one here that we see. You see, you also get to use that here. So how this works is you pick a day. The weekdays, that's you're not picking here, you're just basically picking Monday to Friday. So it's going to skip Saturday and Sunday basically by 8 p.m. as well. I don't think we need to go through those stress again. So weekly, you can choose the days yourself. You can decide to choose Monday, or let's say you're free on only Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you're free on Saturdays. So you can pick these 3 days and tell it to send it to you. So depending on whatever scenario, whatever problem you're trying to solve, and whatever condition you want, that is what this is. So for monthly, it also does the same. You can pick the days of the month. You can pick them right here, and for monthly. And you can also pick for specific dates as well. That's every month, that's January, February, March, to the end of probably, let's say we are running an automation that works like quarterly, right? So we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and okay, it's supposed to be quarterly, right? What did I do? All right, sorry. We're supposed to do this, then this, then this, then this. So this is quarterly. So, and you can set in the date as well, or you can just say every single day you want this. So basically that's what this is all about. And you can specify the time. Now the thing about this is you need to be very careful when you're setting this, especially if you're not doing this for yourself. You can discard, and let's just save this. Especially if you're not doing this for yourself. If you're doing this for a client and you're having to build a scenario or an automation for a client, you need to be careful on the time you are setting for yourself, because you need to know the time you are using. For my own time here, this is Africa and Lagos. I mean, everywhere in Nigeria is basically the same time. So the time I'm setting here, this is for my own workspace. This is for my own builds. That's why I use this. But if you are doing this for a client, you need to be careful of the time zone. So this is one thing I actually made mistake one time. Most of the things I explain over here is based on mistakes I've made most of the time. I should probably even be stating that out. That where I set the wrong time and I had to go back to check it, and I had to work on it before it caused any problem. So I can basically say most of the things I'm explaining here is based on, unfortunately, experience. And what I'm going to use here, this is a profile that is not coming up. So you can see what we have here. Organization settings also work. So for my organizations, they are using Nigeria and the time zone here. You need to know that the time zone is whatever scenario you have is going to work on. So the time zone option, you can check it, you can edit it. For your scenarios, you can change the time zone as well. This is going to be used for formatting date and time and every single thing. You can change this specifically and tell it, okay, you want to use probably US time or something, United Kingdom, United States. You can pick whichever one fits in with the time of your clients or the business that you're working for, or the team or the organization you're working for. So that's basically what you're meant to do here. The time zone, obviously, you have to pick This is different. You guys all need to know this is different. This is the region of which your account is. The region you picked when you were, I think, signing up for the first time. So, and for most of my accounts, I think I picked US for it. But there's no other region like Nigeria there. That's the thing. So I'm not using any affiliate or anything. So basically, that is what this is about. You need to know that this influences whatever scenario you've built. So you need to ensure you have that in place. I put in a couple of things there, a couple of steps for you to check, and you can work on it. Especially if you're having any other clients, you can look at this, and this is what you get to work on. America and New York, yeah, I think I added every single thing you might need here. So yes, so anytime you are using like a function, or you are using, or for your scenario, that it's running based on the time that you set in place there. Our digital receptionist should not be looking like this, right? It's supposed to look better than that. Yeah, I remember I removed from here and I added here. So that is that for that. And the last thing I put together is because I noticed that one thing most people are not aware of is the amount of credits, the amount of operations that they run on make.com. Generally, I'm going to say most operations you run on make.com, each module for a particular bundle or data you pass through it only takes in one operation. That is what you need to know. Only takes in one operation. That means from your credits, in my case here, I have my credits. For anybody, your credits could be 1,000 for a free plan. Now you need to know that 1,000, anytime you are running a scenario, you need to know the amount of modules you are using, and you need to know the amount of credits they are also taking in every single time. So if you are getting a lead from a lead intake system, for example, something as simple as this, we're going to calculate this together very quick. So this is a lead intake system, and what we have here, so what you notice is that every single one, we're going to actually calculate the amount of, hold on, these were things I had to build later on, but we don't generally need this. I just use this as explanation. So we're going to stop here, and we're going to remove this as well. We need one of this, copy, then paste. Okay, all right, so let's say we have all this in place now. All right, so how this works is that we're going to bring this back here, and we're going to count the amount of modules this is going to exhaust. Just let me say, just counting it, just to know the estimate of the amount of credit we're going to be exhausting. If in a month we have about, if this particular business that we have here, we get about 30 leads, let's say 30 is quite small actually, we get about 100 leads in a month. That's 3 in a day. 3 is still quite small. Let's say we have about 150, so we have 5 leads come in a day, right? So this is just an example. 5 leads come in a day, and these 5 leads, 5 multiplied by 30, I mean that's basically 150 leads, right? So 150 leads, 150, you can just assume that is 150 people, right? And we need to calculate with this, if we are only using this scenario, for example, so we get to estimate the amount of credits we are going to exhaust here. So the first one is from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 4. Now, one thing you need to know real quick is that a router doesn't take any credits. It doesn't take any credits. However, when we have things like an aggregator and an iterator, they take credits. They take credits every single time. But this one is not having a data pass through it. This is just a part. This is just letting you decide if you are going to this part or this other part. So it doesn't take any credit. But an iterator processes data as well. It also takes in data and processes it. This doesn't take in data. It just them with the right condition, the right path to follow. So it doesn't take in any data. So basically we're exhausting 1, 2, 3, 4. Now for backups, let's say calculate the 4. 4 multiplied by 150, that is 600 credits. So you can see we have a calculation already in place, 600 credits. This is basically how to calculate your credits for any single scenario that you're working on. Now, in this case, we also have backups. Why I do have backups is I realized that if we are having about 150 and we have this come up once in a while, we could add an 100 on top of this. So let's say 700 credits. Guess what? Your make.com free plan is actually enough to do this. It's as simple as that. To be honest, this is one of the reasons why I love make.com, and I feel a lot of businesses could use this, because even the free plan could help them to do one of the most basic things and to help them build their business as well. Though some people might argue otherwise, because we have anything, which in this case you can self-host it, and we're going to talk about that in other days moving forward. You can self-host this. That means you're basically paying zero and you have all these things run, right? However, that self-hosting is not, to me, I feel it's not entirely secure, unless probably you are hosting this on platforms like hosting and all these platforms that actually host anything and the rest. So I feel like, well, on platforms like that, but if you are hosting this on your own local computer, I'm not sure actually, but I don't really think that is safe, and I don't think you should offer that as a plan for a business owner. If the business owner is actually serious about building his business and paying you, I don't think they would go for getting a free hosted plan and just to run their business. They wouldn't want to do that, because they would also consider, they'll probably ask you questions on how that works, and they will also probably consider security as well. So most business owners are actually curious. Most clients I've worked with are very curious. I see that they are very knowledgeable people, where you need to know what you are saying. You need to know what you are doing as well, because they would tell you what exactly they want as well, which is quite okay, which is very okay. So you have to just, you need to know what you are saying. You need to know what you are doing as well. So I would not, run that option. I'd rather tell them they should go through this option, they should go through these routes, or they should pay for anything directly and just, let us build right there. That's if we're going to use anything in the first place. So we are going to be using about 700 credits in a month for this scenario. What you see here is very simple. This is just a simple calculation. So what I did here is just, show you the cost per minute. If you are running it every minute, since a minute is the lowest we can have here, if we are running something like a scheduled option, a minute is the lowest we can have here. This has started again. My God. Okay, let's try to save and let's see what happens. Finally. So what I explained here, I remember mentioning that every 15 minutes is for a free plan. Yes. So you can assume if you have a free plan, you can only use this every 15 minutes, which can be enough if you are just doing something minor. But if we need something better, 1 minute. Now the thing about this scheduling option is that unless necessary, which is in cases of probably daily, or in cases of daily, monthly, which I've used, or specified dates, which I've used as well for myself and also for clients, I don't use this. I don't really use this. Why I don't use this is most of my clients either need their details, like the example of this lead form, arriving immediately. So in that case, what we need is a webbook. But if we are going for the scheduling option, I don't normally use this for anything, because this itself also exhausts a lot of credit. Now an example is what I said here, where I said every minute you are basically spending about this. If you are running a scenario every single minute, you have to spend about this. And I don't think there's anyone that has this. Well, in my case, I do have that, but it's due to special reasons. So you have to spend this. What I got for this was for a year. Now imagine I spend every single thing in just under 1 month. And that is me running 43,200 runs every minute. So we have 43,200 minutes in a month. Wow, I didn't think of that. I just, had to calculate it based on per month and everything. So, but when you think about it, we have 43,200 minutes per month. So if it's every 15 minutes, you are just basically dividing this by 15 and you have this in place. So you could calculate it based on this, or use the calculation I just used here. I believe this is easier, just building something, and you can see most times when I use make.com, I build it on a free plan, and I can decide to build it on my own organization and share it to their own as well. I have a couple of organizations here, and some that's which I share with some clients, which these clients have access to it. So that's why I do. So I'm able to build on my own account sometimes since it's faster. But most of the time, I ask to join their team because there's a team settings over there where you can join their team and you get to build it right on your own account, but as their team member. I also do that here as well. So basically, all I did here was just a calculation. Now, if you are doing this every single day, that's 30 runs per month. You are just spending about this. Now, this is a case of a five module scenario, not 4. If it was 4, it should probably be higher, or it should probably be lower, rather. It should be lower. And yes, it's as simple as that. Okay, so if that is it, if that is the case, you can see, I mean, this is just basically, the interval operation math that I put together here. So for a practical rule, you can use the least frequent schedule that still satisfies the use case. In the use case I gave up here, I gave an example of what I already have here, which is the lead tracker, and we're just using 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, what more? It's quite okay, right? But I should not only be calculating it based on the amount of leads. We cannot predict the amount of leads that might come in. Probably the person is running ads or a cold outreach or anything. We don't know. In a case where you're not working with your clients for marketing as well. So in this case, you need to just tell most of your clients to buy a pro plan. And a pro plan can go for $9 per month. And there's another one, I think there's a premium plan, there's a pro plan, that is $16 per month or something. So yeah, if you want to work on that, you could just tell them to pay for that. It's quite little for what they could actually get here. Now, this entire scenario is running based on 1 credit, right? It's different for make.com's modules themselves. What you need to know is that make.com itself also have modules. I'm going to show you an example here. Let's just click on make. You can see we have make code, which I was surprised when I saw this. You could actually run a code script right in make.com. Now we have make AI toolkit, which I've tried also in the past, and I'm like, wow. So let's just make use of one simple text prompt. What this is now, to explain it, it is basically make giving you their own LLM. But the idea behind this is that when you look at the token usage, if you are using Make's AI provider, the module consumes credits for AI token. So rather than having to pay Grok, we're using Grok for free, rather than having to pay Gemini or Claude, you can just use this instead. Now you can use this to do a lot of things. You can extract information from text, categorize text, which is one of the things that we actually need, analyze sentiment. There are tons of things you could do with this, and it's actually very nice. A simple text prompt works almost the same as what this Grok is. So while this one is very detailed, a simple text prompt is just asking you to you can use any of this. Let's use the latest one, and I can give it something. I can tell it process this information, blah blah blah, and I map something right inside. Now let me just do this very quick here so you see how that works. When I map this in, I'm going to take, rather than this, I can remove this. I can just take this and let it process the entire field. Okay, this is field by ID. They're basically the same thing, but let's process this instead. So, or we have to state it out, the name, email, and their message, and whatever the message does. They tell me about your business challenge. So what we have here could just process every single one of them. So if we run this, it's not going to run based on the same 1 credit, because make.com is basically using their own AI, or they have to run costs on their own anytime. They are going to take from your own credits rather than you having to pay them separately for AI costs. So they have to take from your credit. So this would not be your regular 1 credit. It could be probably in this case it could be, I don't know, like 12. Could actually be a lot. Let's do this. Let's save this, then I'll run one. I'm not going to save the other one. So let's do this. Let's just unlink for now. Let's see if we link back. Still there. All right, unlink. Nope. Let's see what's up. Okay, so we have this out now. It does this sometimes, and let's process this based on a past existing data. Let's use this and run once. Now we ran this through, and let's see, didn't give us anything. No, it's meant to give us something. So let's try it again. Okay, I discovered what happened. You can see this. That was what happened. Sorry. So I'm going to have to try it again. And this time around, I'm going to click run once again, but let's use a past data and run once. Now, when you see what happens here, still loading, still going through, and simple text prompt. You can see how this is even taking time. This is actually taking time. One of the things I noticed there is that I told it to just process it, right? So it's probably creating an agent response. You exceeded your current quota. Check your Google Gemini plan. It's not meant to say this because we are using make.com's plan. Okay. I think I do remember now. What is going on here is that you have to also still create a connection. I'm using a grok. You have to create a connection actually. When you click add, you have to choose one of all this. So the mistake I'm going to be very honest here that I made here was that I forgot to tell you guys how to even choose and make a connection in the first place. So the connection you have to make here starts from this. You click on add, then you're going to pick one of all this. In my case, I picked Grok. You could pick OpenAI, any single one of them here. We have Anthropic Claude as well. So I have already in place. I think I have Grok here. So I picked Grok. In this case, I have to connect to Grok, and I'm able to process it as well. So let's do this once again. Let's save this, but let's go back here and pick the script we have here and use that instead. So we're going to take all this and we bring this back here. All right, so we can save this. Should we run again? Yes, definitely. Do we have a choice? All right, so we're going to run this again, and yes, now when you see this, it just took in one operation. You can see this input token, this. Now the operation it took here is just one. Luckily for us, it just took one. There are many cases where it can actually take more than one. So you need to know that if you are ever going to use this, you need to be careful of what response and every single thing is going to run through this. So that's about that. That's just to explain briefly to you guys this connection, how this also eats more than the usual one. So we've taken that out. We went back in time, we went to the past. So now the next thing I'm going to explain briefly is, yes, I'm not doing any explanation. I'm just going to have a full build. So I'm going to build one of this, and I will have you guys to build the remaining two. And we already built this in day 19. We already built this, and we have the third one. So yes, I'm going to build this first one, and I want you guys to build this pattern 3 as well. Since we've built this together, no problem. You build this as well, and you can share it to the community. So but before we go there, let's build pattern 1 together real quick, probably in just a couple of minutes now. And what this is meant to do is it's a daily warm lead follow-up reminder. When you remember yesterday, I mentioned this, that if in any case you want to reach out to a warm lead, for example, you discover that you need, basically what we are doing in a warm lead is, to use this as an example, we are sending a question to them, a qualifying question, right? And the question is basically saying, the first one we are saying is, thanks for reaching out. Before we book a call with you, I'd love to understand your situation better. One quick question: how does your current process look like for handling what you said here? This was the problem, the challenge, the business challenge that they said they had. Just each reply takes 30 seconds. Now, what is happening here is, when we send this to them, we have to also check up on them. We have to follow up, because there are cases where they might not have replied or they have not have seen this. So every single time we have these people in our database. Let's bring up our database once again. Okay, so our database is quite serious. That is quite serious. Is this our database? No, we don't have ideas. Might just have to log into Notion directly. So let's go into our database. And confirm how this works. Okay, so we are here now, and you notice we still have this. That's Daniel, Dave, Danny, Daniel, and I here. So what we have here, we don't have any warm lead. But you know what? It says unusual here. So let's make Dave. Let's turn Dave to a warm lead. Thank you very much, Dave. So Dave is a warm lead. That's at dave.com, but its name is Daniel as well. So what we're going to build this time around is we're going to build something that every single day it pulls in anyone that is a warm lead, it pulls them in and it sends a follow-up reminder to them. So that's what we're going to build. And what this does is it fires every morning by 8 a.m. and it's going to list every warm lead that hasn't been followed up in 7 days plus. Because we need to know that every single time we follow up with these our leads, the way this works is that if this lead becomes cold, that means they're not interested at the end of the day, after months or after weeks of reaching out or follow-ups, we change it to cold. If it's hot, we change it to hot, right? And this one we have to do manually. And there are also automations we can actually run this. We can run this on automations automatically. An example can be us, let's see, every single one that we've confirmed from them. This will require us to pull in from our email and we let AI. Oh my God, that is a lot, but it's very interesting. I believe we should build something like that. And I think we should actually do that. I'm going to note that down. So we do that. That'll be very interesting. If we have to do it automatically based on the email conversations that we have in a particular category or label, that should work very well. So anyway, before that, let us build this. So it lists every warm lead that hasn't been followed up for 7 days plus, and it basically, that's every single day, right? That's every day by 8 a.m. So, but if for 7 days plus, or you mean the previous day, so that is how this works. So we are going to place a scheduling. We are not going to use this time around. We have to create a new scenario entirely. So we are building something new. I would have said we should even build every single thing, but let's just build this alone. And okay, I think I clicked that hub because of every adjustment. So we're going to build this together, and let's bring this back here. Next text is, okay, no, I can still use this. And all right, so the first thing we're going to do is we want to have the schedule to be, our time zone is Africa. This is our schedule. Now, before adding, it says module 1. This is very wrong. What is supposed to happen? This is supposed to be our module 1. This is supposed to be our module 1. Let's see how this works. Let's see, Notion, search objects. This is supposed to be our module 1. I made a mistake here by saying module 1. So we can quickly work on that. This is module 1, this is module 2, and this is module 3, this is module 4 as well. Here we have that module 4. Now item count, blah blah blah. Let's see from 5 total count. All right, so what we have here, this is just a scheduler I is supposed to set in place. This is the trigger schedule, but not the stuff itself. This is what we're going to set in. All right, so what we have here is a schedule, and we have it. I've done this, so we can just set in what we said here. Daily by what? By 8 a.m. Okay, scenario not active, not yet. Sorry, I think I made a mistake again. That is because of this over here. This is 8 a.m. and this is by 0, and let's set this by 8. All right, so that's the faster way to actually do it. So 8 a.m. yes, it's not active. I do know that. Save and activate, not yet, but we have that still bringing us back. All right, I think we have to chew on that first. So we have a lead tracker, and we can pick the source ID should be leads. It's going to bring it in. Yes, we have that in now, and it's going to check every single day. We want this to send like a follow-up to these warm leads, right? So the filter we're going to bring in, once again, is supposed to be a unique identifier, if you remember, and that is meant to be there. It's going to filter. Wait, this time around we're not just filtering based on unique identifiers. We are filtering based on our status, and status here says equals to warm. Our status, we're filtering based on status, whichever one. This is the unique identifier we're using. This is not we sending a particular message or email to this person right from start. We are trying to use this is the condition we're trying to set in, that any one of them that is warm, you should pull it in. That is what we're trying to do basically. So let me quickly adjust this, because I want us to start right from beginning. Make this, then set this, then set this, then set this. All right, we have this going good. So this is the unique identifier, and we can have probably as much as 10. In this case though, we have one, we can use as much as 10. So we have this saved. The next thing we're told to build here is very simple. Let's see if we can adjust this back now, since we've done the first one. Okay, all right, so let's pick 0 and let's see what happens. Still saying the same thing. Why does it keep saying the same thing? Save and activate. It's past 8 a.m. so we can still save that and it's still going to work. Save, but we still need it to pick it in. I'm clueless on why it keeps doing like this. I should be able to figure that out soon. Says the same thing. Everything is good now. Alright, so daily by 8 p.m. Guess what? We did make another mistake again. 8 a.m. Thank you. So 8 a.m. now. So what we're going to build next is, we have done this, equals, you can see equals new. Okay, our status equals new, our lead tire equals warm. What do we have here? We have lead tire. Okay, lead tire is what we have. Apologies on that once again. So what we're going to do is, our lead tire is the one that is warm, not our status. Our lead tire is the one that is warm. That is lead tire. The one that is status equals to new. So what we have here is basically saying this is filter 1. We're going to set this first. That means the lead tire should be warm and it should be someone that is new. So that is the case that we're going to set here now. Someone that is new. How about someone that is not, that has been contacted instead? Because this person is not someone just, whoever is just coming in as a new lead should be someone that we've sent an email to from the previous, that's the digital receptionist. So whoever we have here is not new. Whoever is here has been contacted. This person has been contacted one way or the other through email, which we've done, but we've not heard back from the person. So I believe contacted, file closed. Contacted should be right. Yes, that is the best one we should use, not just the new. So whatever we have here is this warm, and we're going to do an and. When you see what's going on here now, we're going to do an and rule, and the second filter we're going to set is status should equal, this time around status should equal contacted instead, because we want to also still message the person again. But let's see what's up again. Let's see how we can do this. If we set the status as new, if we can still leave this as new, that means the person is coming for the first time, but we've sent the first email to the person. Then when we do this, we can set it as we've contacted the person right after. So what I'm saying basically is, if I still choose the status and say the person should be new, I can later change this via automation that the person has been contacted. I'm going to show you what I mean. The first status is basically saying equals new. No problem, let's use that. I think I remember why I set this as new now. Equals new, and that's new lead. It says new lead rather. It needs to be equal, exactly what we say here. So what we have here should be new lead. Now remember, we could do, okay, there's no equal contain. We could do contain as well, but equals is exactly what we need. So we have this. Now this third filter I set in place should be date added should be less than, we are using a function here now, should be less than this. Now do we have a place where we added dates? You can see the dates we added here. Now we did not add the time here. That's the issue. We added time on every single one of them. Imagine. Now it's this, we did not even add the time. Let's add the time. Include time. That's 9 a.m. Was it 9 a.m. we did this? Surprising. Let's say we got this exactly by this time as well. That's 3:36. That's 3:36. That's 3:36. 36 p.m. All right. So we have this in place instead. So we have this 3:36 p.m. Okay. So what we're going to use here now, we can still save this. Let's save this first so we can refresh. What I'm doing here is I want to be able to refresh this database because of the changes I've made there right now. So you can refresh by coming here instead to refresh, and yeah, everything is refreshed now. So I could go back here and say the dates added should be I used less, added should be less than this minus 7. Less than this 7. Alright, this is good because this is the first time. Less than this minus 7. Alright. So it'll be less than, so we're using this. Now we're going to go into this and start using the functions. There are many functions that we have here, but the one we're going to use here, like I said, we're going to have a video on functions. I'm going to explain how functions and every single one of them is, but for the meantime, let's use this and see how it works in real time. Let's see, we are using the add days now and minus 7. So we're going to pick in the add days. I can't see this again. My God, I should probably bring this up here. All right, so I should be able to see everything now. Okay, add days. Now what you see here is exactly what I added here. You don't have to add this there. Everything is already with it now. So add days, that is now minus 7 days. So we're saying now minus 7 days. So if there's any lead that is warm and it is also a new lead that we're meant to send, if it is over 7 days now, we're not going to add them to it. But if it's still within 7 days, probably the last 7 days now, any lead that we've not also run would also work across all this. So we're going to use a minus 7. So it's as simple as this. And yeah, we have all these sets in place now, and we've saved every single thing. So that's the first one. Now the module 2 is basically an iterator. What is this iterator doing? I remember explaining what an iterator does to you guys. It basically takes one and split it into several. Now the issue we have here, which is not an issue actually, is because we have just one lead that is like this. So in any case, we can decide to pull in numerous leads and turn them to this condition as well. So let's pull in warm and let's turn it to new as well. Let's pull in, we could even do this to make it more interesting. Let's pick a date that is about day 20. Let's pick, so far is within the amount, the days that we want. We have how many excess leads here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we're dealing with just 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's make this 20 and let's make this day 17. Let's make this day 17. I will make this, let's make this longer so you get to see the case where this happens. So what is going to happen in our scenario is, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 to process, right? But when you look at it, it's not going to process this one because it's over 7 days. But this is still within 7 days. So it's going to only process 3. And we're going to see what happens live now. So what we're basically saying here in this iterator, that's for this. What we're basically saying for this iterator is, it's going to take the whole array and it's going to split it. So in this case, you can see that we're going to, if you remember what an array does, it takes every single one of them and it's going to split them for us to use them individually. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3 come in. It's going to take it a bunch at once and split it into 3, which is this 3 for us. So that's what it's going to do. So we're going to take an iterator, and it's going to take the array coming here, which is the total this, if you do remember, and we save this. It's as simple as that. Let's save this as well. We're not using the data generated. It's going to obviously generate the data. Don't worry. So you can see this, and we're going to take the results, and that is what we use for the next one, which is our text aggregator. So our text aggregator, if you do remember what an aggregator also does, an aggregator basically take everything and brings them back into one again. So that is what this does. This is quite simple, and we should be able to use this for what we want to build as well. So let's bring in a text aggregator, and that is where we bring text agree, and I bring this in itself. And the source module I'm picking here, what is the source module once again? Where are you trying to get this data that you want to match in for? We're getting this from the iterator, not the first one. We're taking it from this, and the text that we're going to pick in here is quite simple. I already laid out the text so you could also use this. So the source module is module 3, which is module 2. I made a mistake there. It's module 2, and what we're trying to take there is the name, title, plain text. We're taking the date added, we're taking the budget. So we're taking that's the name, the date added, and the budget. That's what we're taking. And we're going to add a slash right in between to ensure that they are all different. So what we're having here is name. When you see this, we have the name. Sorry, I do need to check. You can see its property. Why I'm showing you this is because you can see there are several orders here. There's property value, there's properties as well. So you can see, I want to show you every single one of them. So you can see every single one of them here. You need to know the differences between which one you want to use and which one you are. Okay, we might have to start again. So when you look at this, you are going to notice something. The properties that we have here, this is just stating the properties. If I have not explained what properties are, you have no idea what properties are. These are properties. all these are properties. This is email property, this is the number property, this is a status property, or this is a select, rather this should be a select, and this is a text property, and every single one of them, that is what you can see, edit property here. So that is what this is just trying to lay out this property. These are the several ones that we're using. Now what we are actually going to use is the value. What we want is the value. So, and I remember saying the name, and we take plain text. That's plain text, and we're going to use this. We're going to use this instead. How this is to just show you. Right on my keyboard, you can see this on my keyboard. Okay, this I'm using this. What I'm using is this. What I'm using is this. Very simple. So you can use any one. You can use. Sorry, I had to position it. All right. So you can use probably a comma, or you can use, I remember showing you could actually use this. You could actually use this. That is an N. My God, what the hell is that? You can use this as well to make it go to the next row, or just use this. So that is a shift and the same /. So that's basically what that is. So the next one we're going to match in is the budget. So the budget is name. We're also going to do the same thing. And the last one, we don't have to do it here since we've already split it into two. This is the third one. The last one was, what did we map here? It was very important. That's budget. Okay, so there's date added. The last one is the date added. So we get to see the dates that we added this. So date added, that's the start time. And that's what we need. These are just the things we need. And we've connected that like that. So it's as simple as that. Now the last one, I said the separator in the new line. So yes, one more thing here. Let us see. We need a separator, a new row. Yeah, that is it. So these are the things that we're using. Stop processing, and this is just what we need basically. So you need to ensure you on the advanced setting and put a new row separator. The separator is what we're using here. These are separators. So that's what we have here. And the last one is a Gmail. So we want to be able to send this daily warm lead reminder to every single one of them. We're sending it to ourselves rather. We want to, yes, for this case, we're not actually sending it to them. We want to remind ourselves which one of them, because it's the main thing behind this scenario and what problem we're trying to solve here is briefly saying we're not trying to use an automated mail. We're not trying to send an automated email. What we're actually aiming to do is to remind ourselves, which is why I called it the daily warm reminder, a warm lead reminder, is to remind ourselves that while we are not checking our database every single time, you can assume you have a whole ton of databases of leads here inside this particular database, and you cannot have to check every single one of them by yourself. So to avoid checking it by yourself, we have this in place to ensure that it's going to send anyone within the last 7 days that has not been that is still warm and has not been contacted. That is what we're doing. So you are reminding yourself, not sending an email to each of these clients. So to your email, which is my own email, so you can do this as a Gmail, and how we have that is as simple as this. So you look for a Gmail. I believe we've connected that before. Send an email, and we're going to send this to ourselves. So in this case, I'm going to send this to as Navana X Jude. I'm going to send this to Navana X Jude. navanaxjude@gmail.com. And yeah, the subject I'm going to use for this is very clear. The subject is blah blah blah, need follow-up now. All right, so I'm going to use this, and let's use warm leads, and what I'm going to use here is, so the item numbers. Where did we position our item count? Our item count will only show from, let's see, it's going to show from search objects item. Okay, we don't have this yet because it can also be our total number of bundles, which is 4. So let's use this, but there is no any other item right here, right? So we could use this as the total number of, we are basically saying there are 3 warm leads need follow-up. If you do understand what I'm saying here, if you remember on that was day 19 when I was showing you around using iterators and aggregator. When we saw 4, that number 4 here, that's the total number of bundles, right? So this time around, we are going to map this in so that it's going to give us basically saying this is the same thing as in our email. It's going to show 4 warm leads need follow-up. It's as simple as that. That's what it's going to show. So 4 warm leads need follow-up, but this time around, let's just make this like this. So that's what it's going to show us. 4 warm leads need follow-up, or this time around 3 warm leads rather. We're going to only be getting 3. And it's follow-up, and it's going to show the format or the date format. Now, how do we get that in place as well? We pick this date format now with what day and blah blah blah. So how that works actually is this: you go here and you pick date format. Now you pick in now, and which other one you pick in the particular date and time. And how to do that is you can pick in timestamp. So particular date and time, let's see, we could so that is what we just used. We use the timestamp, and the content we're going to send to ourselves is pretty clear. So we're going to use this. Let's copy this and put this in place, and say you can see the item counts. Where are we getting this item counts from? Does it already recognize anyone? It's not recognizing anyone. So these are fake text. Then they're fake text. Okay, I think I do know why it says that. I do know why it says that. Let's bring it back in. So we have this text. What this is saying is this, not this. It's saying this text. The item count is actually supposed to come not even from Notion search total number of bundles. We should get an item count from this. We should get an item count from this itself. So, but in any case, if we don't, we can still use this. Let's try this and let's see what works. So let's send this to ourselves. I need to send this to myself. So I could still use Navana X Jude, and I could use my own email itself, jude@gmail.com. So let me just send this to myself. Your daily briefing. So we have this and we save this now, thankfully. So we have all this built in place, and we just test it and we see what happens from there. So we have this warm. We also need this to be warm, and we need this to be warm. But remember, this is not going to follow us in because it's more than 7 days. So let's run this. So it's supposed to run every 8 a.m., right? But we're still going to run it manually and see what happens. So we're running it manually. Run once, and you see it loads. Okay, so we have a very big issue here. Body filter, everything, log, blah, blah, blah. All right, so it couldn't run. Body field validation, fix 1. Date equals should still the same thing. It keeps saying date equals. So we're going to do this. Okay, so when I checked it, I actually had to correct a couple of things there, and I noticed that, let's start from here. So I have to also correct it right here as well. I noticed that what we picked, one of the filters we picked, was the issue. And one thing is that there are times where it gets an empty value in, even if, because I noticed that this particular filter I added, you should know it was a different one. The different one, we had this before. We had this filter before. Date added, okay, we had date added less than. So we had date added less than, right? But it's not supposed to use, we're not actually supposed to use less than. And what we're supposed to use, I believe before we used, I think it was text, right? But what we're supposed to use was this. There is a date condition. The one here is formula. If you use formula, you're going to receive that long error that I received the other time. So you need to pick the one for date itself. Date, you can choose either on or before. On or before, you have to adjust this. If you choose on or after, which is the one I'm using right now, yes, you could also choose equals. Equals might have to be, it is being specific. Equals is being specific actually. When you say equals, it's going to pick the exact date, which is minus 7 days ago, that was on 16th now. So, but if you choose on or after, meaning you are taking on 16th, from on 16th and after means from on 16th to the current date. That is what you are basically picking. So when we choose on or after, it means that we're picking every single thing from on 16th to the current date. And when we look at our time here, our date here rather, this is 13th, right? We have 17th, 20th, and 22nd. So we can see that what we are going to have is going to give us 3. So let's run this module alone first, and let's see what comes out of it. So you can see we have an input here. The output is bundle 1, bundle 2, and bundle 3. Exactly as I've told you, because I mentioned that though we have 4 here, I set this to 13th, not within the range, the date range, and the date range is between 16th to the current day, which is 23rd, right? So basically what we are supposed to have here, if we wanted to bring 4, we could just adjust this to, rather than 13th, we could adjust this to 16th. So let's see what happens from here now. And one thing you need to always do, which I do to ensure this works very well, I refresh every single time I make changes, one big changes somewhere. And you can save this and let's run this module. And we should probably get 4 this time around. So bundle 1, bundle 2, bundle 3, bundle 4. So you can see the difference now. So you can see that all these actually matters. When it comes to functions and and all these functions and all these things, basically, these are things that, like I said, we'll probably have to have a video on this. We need to study all this in depth. And if we can't have a video on this, because I believe that it's going to be very crazy, and even I every single time need to consult AI sometimes for to know the directions of what exactly I'm meant to use when it comes to these functions. Because to be very honest, these are things that I've dropped for a couple of years, so I did not expect that I had to pick it up when I started AI automation generally. But what I'm just going to say is that if we have to make the video, I'm going to make a video on it so we get to understand better on how to use this. Or I could give you probably like an hack to walk around this particular one itself. So yeah, we have this in place now. We could say let's run the entire module and let's see what's up. So because we've changed this, remember we have 16, so every single one will be shown. But let us make this back to 13, so we only get those 3 processed and sent to us on email. So I'm going to open my email as well, so we get to see this in real time, to see as we receive this from myself. Okay, so this is my email, and we can see I'm probably expecting, let's see, this is actually a lot. This is a lot of here. So since I've made the changes here now, 13th, I probably have to reload this again, then save this. I really hope everything plays very well as well, but if it doesn't, we have to also make some changes here as well. So let's run once, but running once based on any other thing we've done in the previous place. So we should have these. Now the issue we have here now is our email, our Gmail itself could not. Okay, let's explain the error. We didn't have this before, so lucky for you now you have this in place. I mean, you have something to explain. We had to keep a couple of months to even years back, we had to keep breaking this down by ourselves. So the date format is what it says is probably wrong. That is what we have wrong. Now let's see if we have all these bundles mapped very well. We have 4, we have our text. All right, so this is fine. What was the issue again? It says that couldn't map the subject field in this module, format date. Tried using this as date. Possible fixes is use a real date value in the subject field and remove format date if you want a raw number. You know what we're going to do? What we're going to do is we're going to bring in, sorry, I should have not done that. Let's rather delete follow up, and let's see if we can pick that exact date in. Need follow up for this particular date, so we're going to pick need follow up for, since we're having all the bundles at once, we need follow up for those are dates up there, but I'm checking down here as well. We could just last edited time is, should we use that instead? Let's use that. So we're going to use this based on the last time that we edited any single one of them. So that is basically still saying so I can still say I picked this as the now. So let's see what happens here. Let's run it again and see what happens. So last replayed, run now. Probably have this. Yes, it all went through. Now let's see our inbox. I should have gotten an email from myself. That is if I really did send it to myself. Yeah, that's me. So I have me in, and I said, okay, and I said these warm leads have been followed up, blah 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 blah. Okay, so open Notion tracker haven't been followed up rather. So I sent it to myself, but there's something we really need to work on here. That is the message here, right? So I realized that it's not giving us what we need here. It's not giving us this. So there's no value coming in text. How come? Why is that? No value is coming in text. Nothing. No output. So let's see this as well. Let's see if we mapped in the correct values. Iterator, yes, we did. And let's see every single one of these ones as well. So property values is what we're looking for, and we're going to check in the name. Plain text supposed to be in plain text. It did not bring out plain text. Why is this so? Why is this so? Why is this so? We have all this in place as well, and we have a name. I think we do have name here. Okay, new lead, every single thing here. But the values, it's meant to actually bring a value. Type text. Let's try to walk across all this. So plain text is meant to bring in this, right? But why is it not doing that? Let's see. Outputs. The output for this, an array, it says empty. Why is that? Bundle, we have all this bundle, and it says this is empty. I believe we have something we need to work on again, and we do have something we need to work on, because I added every single one of them here. Let's try it this way. Let's start from here, and let's see what happens there. But it's meant to be the first one, which is the old bundle that is meant to bring in. So let's see what happens again, and let's run once. This time around, let's see if it says empty. Still empty. Why is it saying this? Empty. An array actually meant to take every single one of them. Let's see if this we have them in now. So it took every single one of them. Rather than taking the array, it's taking it by, because it's still the same thing I picked. Then why is it working now? Okay, so sometimes this it actually goes this way sometimes, and I would say it gets annoying, because it didn't work when I mapped it, but it's working when I turned it into an item 1. And what this text aggregator was meant to do was to put every single one together here. So let's see, and okay, let's see right from here what we are going to get, or what we got. We have warm leads, just one of them, right? Just one, but still it's still giving the same thing. Okay, yes, now we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's based on what we mapped in actually. So we need to go and correct what we mapped in the first place. Let's see the text. Does it have a better text now? It does. So why was it giving us something bad? It's meant to map in Daniel and this and this. Total numbers of bundles. Let's see what we did that was wrong. Yes, so it's mapping this is our subject. Are you kidding me? Okay, so what we had here is our subject. This is the entire object page, whatever. So this is it. And let me see where exactly I brought it all wrong. So we have this warm, blah blah blah, null, inbox, blah blah blah. It's just taking everything and matching it together. Now we don't know what warm leads. Warm, this is warm. Let me search for warm. This is the only warm here. That's crazy. And it's showing lead, warm lead here. Wow. All right, so we picking now is probably not right. We picking this is the issue we have now, and we need the numbers, right? Was that what I picked? Total number should be, I want to see if I can pick the total number from something else, but I can't. Total number of bundle, page 1. Let's try it again. Let's see what happens again. All right, so we are actually very far in. Let's run this one small one, and we do have this now. So array Jude these days is giving us this. So let's see this time around what it gave us. I'm going to load this, and it gave us warm leads to follow, and it's giving us this once again. So the fact that it keeps changing is something that we need to really work on. We are having something that is not sure of what it's doing at all. It is not sure. We have our text come out empty. It's coming out empty once again. Why did it come out empty? It's based on this. We had nothing. We had nothing in. We have nothing in. Let's see. We had nothing in. Yes, that is why. So that is why it came out empty. We had nothing in at all, and everything still goes with it. So the main thing we're going to do now, let's see if we can run. This was the one we ran multiple times. We could run this once again, and let's see what comes out from this. Okay, telling me it ran the same thing. This is correct. Every single thing here is correct. So it's from here that the problem is. It's not getting any value in. So it's not getting any value in, but when I do this, getting a value in when I do this, and it's also getting this in, which is actually correct. and this is the last thing that we are faced with now. So let us confirm based on the previous one. Warm leads, it's not even showing the numbers, which is quite alarming. So let's try this once more and see what happens. See, save. So this 2 3, which is now correct, right? So now let's see what happens again. If we have everything, yes, 3 warm leads. Okay, I think it's getting it better now. So 3 warm leads. We have this for Daniel, which has a 5,000. This. I didn't add his email. The other one is also a Daniel. Because I named everything Daniel, I think that is why we are having something like this. So let's name this. Let's name him Dave. Let's name him Danny. Let's give him Danny. So we're having these 3, and we're going to check it over again. So let's look at how it looks like here. 3 warm leads, and yeah. Now what we're supposed to have here, 3 warm leads, follow up now. Follow up by this date. Okay, that is fine. Let's see what comes out from this. Total dash leads, trying to confirm a couple of things. Total 3 leads, total of 3 leads. Open Notion, blah blah blah, leads tracker today. So I'm going to map in. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to map in the link, so it gets to see where exactly is meant to open. This is the URL for the particular page. This is the URL, data source, ID, blah blah blah. So this is what we're going to map in. So it's going to click the link. It's going to get a link right here and click on it. And another thing I want to say is we could actually have this to say, okay, so let's see what happens from there. 3 total number of blah blah blah. All right, let's see. Let's do this again. 3 leads. So we have this in, and it gave us Danny. It gave us every single one of them. All right, so we're having this coming now, and that's for we sending it to ourselves. So everything is sending now. Now in a case where you need to turn this and send it to yourself once, we are going to need to add an array aggregator to this. So right from there, I believe that we done this item count, we done this. So is there anything left that we could have actually done? I keep feeling like I missed something actually, but this is how I'm going to do it. So I would be expecting you guys should respond after watching this video, and you can just leave a comment below and let me know if there's any part you need me to explain further on, and I'm going to be able to create a separate content on that. I'll probably have to create a separate video on that, and yeah, let's just keep going on this way, and I hope everything was enjoyable so far. Once again, do not forget you have the pattern 3 to actually create. That is basically the task. While following me to create this one, you would have to create this yourself and just post it on the community, and let's see what work on. So yeah, it's nice bringing this together. It was actually crazy at one point because of the mistake we made due to the formula and the dates, the mismatch that we made there. So but we're able to get around it. So you should also work on that as well, and I'll try to do this more often, where we work on scenarios and we break them and we notice that there's an error and we fix it together. I'll try to do this more often because these are things that could let us see probably loopholes of mistakes you might also make on your own. So we solve it together so you don't get to make these mistakes on your own as well. So all right, we'll talk later, and I'll probably see on the next video. We have that's day 22 next, right? All right, see you guys.